All right, so what are the differences between a healthcare assistant, a support worker, and a domiciliary worker? Who is a healthcare assistant? Who is a support worker? And who is a domiciliary worker? These are the questions I've got so far in my inbox. People asking for variations or differences in or among these three sets of carers. Well, in general and in totality, these three carers, they do similar work, which their main job role is to provide care to the service user, their clients or residents. Yes, these are what people you provide care services to. It's either they are called resident, client or service user. But then a carer, a healthcare assistant, actually do something for someone, sort of, and a support worker do something with someone. Are you getting the difference? In simpler form, a support worker is someone who actually provide care services to somebody who is sort of independent. I have worked as a support worker, I have worked as a healthcare assistant, both in the hospital, in the nursing home, domiciliary. I have done all this kind of care. So I will be sharing my experiences, practical experiences, having worked as a carer, healthcare assistant, and a support worker, different aspects of support. Yes. And for a healthcare assistant who is working in a domiciliary home, a care home precisely, these are where people who are elderly, where they stay for their retirement, possibly they do not have space in their homes, or they do not have families who could be looking after them in their homes. They decided to put them in the care homes, residential homes, where the government will be paying for the services or their families will be paying for the services. Some of these people, they are, like I said, elderly. Some of them have dementia, they have some kind of needs. Some of them need assistance with their personal care. When I talk about personal care, it means bathing, teething, combing their hair. Some of them need feeding, while some of them can actually help themselves to eat. So there are different types of role you provide in the care home, and some of them you do not just do these things, especially when it comes to someone who has mobility issues. They have commode, where you can see them on a commode. They do the number 2 or P. You provide bottles. Some of them that needs handling when it comes to movement, they provide something like hoist, and definitely you're gonna get trained on how to use this hoist. You don't just go and start using hoist. You lift them using hoist, wheelchairs, walking aids. Some walking mobility facilities will be provided for you to use to support these residents or service users in the care home. Yes, and the beautiful thing about working in a care home is that you do not do everything 100% all alone. You work with the assistant of nurses and other healthcare assistants whom you run shift with. When you have a shift or you are employed to work in a care home, residential home, most often your job is permanent and your shift is totally defined. You know what you are doing in a month. Yes, even in 3 months interval, you know what you are doing. Your shift is defined. Okay, and they also have cooks, they have cleaners. You don't do all the job. Yes, they have paid cleaners who come in to clean, who come in to iron, and the same thing is applicable when you are a healthcare assistant in the hospital. There are little or less, there are little or more that you can do. Basically, you do not do this job alone. The doctors, the nurses particularly, these are the people you work hand in hand to. And a healthcare assistant in the hospital, sometimes you don't have to give a patient a full bath or a full shower. Normally they do cleaning, yes, and you support them with some things they might be needing while at the hospital. Now, who is a support worker? A support worker basically is someone who supports people, maybe individuals with learning disabilities, children, could be young adults, people between the ages of less than 20 or 20s and above. I had been one in the past, and I worked in a living assisted home with 9 residents, ages from 25 to 40. Yes, and these are the people with learning disabilities. There are little or more you could support them to do. Some of them are independent. This is why I said at the beginning of my video, a support worker is someone that helped an individual to do something. You don't do it for that individual, because some of them are totally independent. They need support, motivation, encouragement for them. For instance, someone goes to make a cup of tea. It's something that will take you less than 2 minutes, but this other individual who has learning disability, it might take them 5 minutes or more. So you are there to encourage, to motivate the person to do something, not to make that person totally dependent on you, but independent with little support. So you are there to assist the person. And a support worker's job roles varies. It all depends on the needs of your service user. For instance, person A might need different services and person B might need different support services. Some of these service users, if you are doing a support work, might require you to support them, go to the shop, do their shopping, pick whatever they want, go to the park, go out to eat. Some of them like to have their lunch or their dinner out. They need you to follow them to the shop, guide them, direct them. Some of them need you to drive them to the shop if you are driving. This is why often at times they need people that drive. Some of them needs you to go on holiday with them, as the case may be, though this is common when it comes to people who are doing living care. So some of them need. I've been to a park. I don't live in Sutherland, it's far, but one of the shifts I went to, I traveled all the way from Middlesbrough to Sutherland. That was my first time, and it was about 2 hours or 1 hour plus drive. We spent the whole day. So my whole shift, I was on a 14 hours of shift that day. We spent almost 5 hours outdoors. That was just at the park, what I did that day, and they paid for our lunch and every other stuff. So it depends, and you might be supporting just one person, not just a group of people. I had done the one I supported a group of people, like I said, in a home of 9. That's in a living assisted home. I also did the one I supported just one person. I just go into the house, I sit and chat with the person, make a cup of tea, we discuss, we watch television. In other words, as a healthcare assistant, most of the residents or service users are stationed at a place. Like I said, they are mostly elderly people living in a residential home or in the nursing home. So most often you are expected to provide 80% of care to them. You wake them up in the morning, depending on the time they usually wake up. You wake them up, you provide personal care, like I've explained what personal care means. And after personal care, you take them to the lounge or to the dining where they would have their breakfast. If it is someone that is walking, you walk the person down. If it is not, you put the person on the chair, wheel the person down. They have lift and all what they cook. They already cooked and prepare breakfast or lunch or whichever. So you provide almost 80% of the care. And people in the nursing home, care home, sometimes they can only go out when their families come around to take them home or to take them out. It is not in your power to take them out. Unlike you being a support worker, you take them out, you take them swimming, you take them clubbing, anywhere they want to go, you take them shopping. However, the big one, which is the domiciliary care, is what most people are on, especially people who came into the UK with skilled worker visa. It really surprised me that domiciliary carers are on skilled workers visa, and some of them are not getting up to 36 hours of shift in a week. Some complained about getting less than 20 hours, which is very ridiculous for someone on a skilled worker visa, because you are expected to work 36 to 40 hours a week. Yes, anything above 40 hours a week, the government frowns at that. But in the government website, no limits as to what number of shifts you can work, but there is maximum, which is 40, anything 41 hour and above. It's against the law, especially if you are doing that for that employer that employed you directly and offers you sponsorship. It shouldn't be. Now, a domiciliary worker is either a support worker or a carer, that person who goes into different people's home. Yeah. As a domiciliary worker, you can even go into 10 homes in a day, providing services to service users in their various homes. You could be somebody who is mobile, who is independent, Yes, the funny aspect of it that I don't like is that sometimes you would go into one person's home to spend just 1 hour or 2 hours in the morning, get that person, I mean, support that person to get ready in the morning, and the person will ask you to go, and you go into a different home. Though it depends on the hours of shift you have. Maybe in a day you might work for 14 hours, but you get paid for about 10 hours because you only spend 10 hours in people's homes. This is how it is. You go to person A, you spend 2 hours. The person might say, okay, I would need you during lunchtime. Yes, which is in the afternoon. So you have to go out, even if you don't have another person, you are going into the person's home. The next hour, you have to be hanging around, waiting until that hour the person wants you to come back in the afternoon. You go back and support the person and go into a different home. It depends on the home's number of hours of shift your agency or your employer has assigned you to cover on that particular day. you know so the people you support, it could be people who are independent, who want little or no support doing their things, getting ready in the morning, making their food. And the most important thing, do not be bothered when you hear about cooking food for these people, because especially if you are a support worker who goes into the homes or a domiciliary carer, most often their food are just mainly canned food. It's just for you to open it, warm it up in the microwave, and that's it. Or sometimes they order. Yes, even when I was working in that home with 9 residents, most often we order from McDonald's, KFC, all them stuff. When we have to cook, it's usually canned food. Will open and warm for them to eat. Okay, so cooking is shouldn't be an issue for you. But have you seen that in all of these titles, healthcare assistant, support worker, domiciliary care, all of them, they provide care services. It depends on the needs of the individual you are providing this care services to. Yes, what the person needs, or if the person is mobile or not, if the person is, I mean, stationed at a place. It depends on the kind of care, what is in this person's care plan. Of course, before you get employed or before you get sent to a home as a domiciliary carer, you should be made aware about this person's care plan, care requirements, you see. So in general, we all provide care services to any of the persons we are supporting, be it somebody in a care home as a healthcare assistant, be it a carer, a healthcare assistant in the hospital, be it a support worker who support people in various aspects. Yes, who support people who are independent, who need little support or no support, or a domiciliary carer who goes into people's homes to support them. All we do is that we provide healthcare services to people, and communication is most important in all this aspect of care. Even when you are providing support or services to someone who is deaf and dumb, it is required that you keep talking to this person. You speak nicely before you go into the person's room in a care home. Make sure that you knock, introduce yourself. I am here to support you. You're right. How are you? Even before you take off somebody's clothes, make sure you speak to the person, even when they told you that that person is deaf. Hi, John. Do you mind me giving you a shower today? I'm gonna take off your clothes. Is that okay? Even when the person is not saying anything, keep talking. Keep talking, because if you don't talk, it might be regarded as an abuse. Yes, or doing something for that person against the person's wish or will. All right, guys, this is it for this content. I hope this helps you a lot and clears some of your doubts, or the questions you have regarding healthcare assistant, their job roles, a support worker, and domiciliary carer, what it all means. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Like this video and share. Thank you, and see you in my next video.